Going into the NBA season, there's always a small, select few amount of teams that we know are going to have a good year. It's usually guys like the Boston Celtics, the OKC Thunder, the Denver Nuggets, the Milwaukee Bucks are usually up there as well. Like, these are teams that we knew going into this year, they will be contenders no matter how their regular season ends up going. The Mavericks, I would say, were in that conversation, but obviously their regular season went a little bit different according to plan. And as the season goes, you see some teams that maybe start to surprise you a little bit, maybe start creeping up into the playoff picture. Teams like the Houston Rockets, the Cleveland Cavaliers this season. But you could also say that those guys are considered to be true contenders, right? The Cleveland Cavaliers are the best team in the NBA. If you don't think they're going to at least have a run for the finals, you're a little bit insane. But what about those middle teams? What about those weird little teams that maybe had a rocky start to the season, maybe a little bit of a rocky middle part of the season, but are now making their case for what could be a sneaky run at maybe even a championship? So I'm going to go ahead and choose two teams from both the Western and Eastern Conference who I think can be the sneaky dark horse champions, okay? Starting off in the West, it would be wrong if I didn't talk about a team that actually won a championship previously as a dark horse, that being the Golden State Warriors. Now, I've made plenty of videos talking about this franchise, okay, saying that they're doing everything wrong. They need to build around Steph Curry for his final years, or get rid of Curry and build around your young talent if you don't want to give them up. And well, they kind of listen to me, okay? I don't know if Warriors management watches my videos. If they do, I'm sure they're subscribed, so you should be subscribed as well. But they finally made the move that we all know and love, the trade for Jimmy Butler. And I'm not gonna lie, I was very skeptical about this, and I am still a little bit skeptical just personally, but they have proved a lot of people wrong and are slowly proving me wrong as well, with the team being 11-1 in the Jimmy Butler era. I went on a quick vacation, and now the Warriors have won 7 games in a row and are currently 14-1 in the Jimmy Butler era. So yeah, I guess you could say they're proving me wrong. It seems like they have turned things around and are now looking like actual championship contenders, all because they got one old guy that loves coffee. Now, I do want to say the part that I didn't really like about the Jimmy Butler deal, or the thing that I was most skeptical about, wasn't actually Jimmy Butler as a player. Was it a little bit concerning that he wasn't playing too good in Miami at the time? Yes, but I think we all knew that he just wasn't enjoying Miami, so he obviously wasn't going to play up to his full potential. It was the fact that they gave Jimmy Butler so much money when he's already so old, and I just didn't know. I didn't know how to feel about it, okay? He's going to be a Golden State Warrior until the age of 37, and he's making $55 million each one of those years. And you can argue that they did exactly what myself and many other people were asking for, which was, hey, Jimmy Butler, we are going to take you on our team. We are going to give you a shit ton of money, but it's only really going to be for the window that we have Steph Curry for, okay? After the next 2 years, Curry might be out of the league. He might say, I'm done. We won a championship, whatever it is, right? We don't know. So maybe that's why they gave Jimmy so much money and they didn't try to like lowball him and try to get him for a longer deal. But that was the very skeptical part, and obviously they have proved me wrong, because Jimmy Butler just works so well alongside Steph Curry. Really, any star player would be playing well alongside Steph Curry, but the fact that they're able to take so much more attention off of him on the offensive end, Jimmy Butler is doing his role as a playmaker as well. They're just able to play a lot more free and giving Steph Curry a lot more space and ability to play his game without getting blitzed and doubled on every single possession. And if that does happen to him, he has the outlet of Jimmy Butler, who is able to make a play, whether it's attacking the basket himself or kicking it out to someone else who is open. They got this shit figured out, which is exactly why Steph Curry seems to have turned the clock back and is now playing in his prime version, averaging 30 points a game. It's looking ridiculous, okay? The Golden State Warriors, I don't think they will ever be a losing franchise at this rate. And like I said, as long as they have Steph Curry, they're going to be winners in some way. So there's one of the dark horses in the Western Conference, the Golden State Warriors. Another team in the Western Conference that I view as the dark horse is, of course, the Sacramento Kings. Zach LaVine is looking... Okay, I'm kidding. I wish I was being serious. I wish that they could actually win a championship. No, I'm of course talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, how the hell is a team that just made it to the Western Conference Finals a dark horse to win this year? Shut the hell up, bro. You are so annoying. I don't care that they made the Western Conference Finals last year, because they made one of the biggest franchise-altering trades before the season, giving Cat to the New York Knicks in exchange for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo. And believe it or not, this move was actual garbage when it first happened. Everyone was saying that the Timberwolves got fleeced. Why would you do that? Cat has not only been loyal to your franchise for damn near 10 years, but he's also like a huge reason as to why you got to the Western Conference Finals. Why would you trade him for Julius Randle? Unless you look at the books and you see that Cat was making a shit ton of money and they want to re-sign Naz Reid for a shit ton of money. And if you give them both a lot of fucking money, you're going to be stuck in the second apron for some time. So that was at least my outlook on it, right? It was like, okay, the Timberwolves ownership does not want to spend a ton of money on what could possibly be a championship and maybe even a dynasty. Okay, hear me out. Anthony Edwards is young. So they made the deal, they gave Cat away, and they brought in just some decent return, whatever it is. Well, even though that was part of the reason as to why they made the move, god damn it, Julius Randle is proving everybody wrong. Because even though he started the season off a little bit rough with this team, as soon as he was able to find his role and not force, you know, the offense and try to be this player that he isn't or play a certain role on the team that he shouldn't be playing, the team has gone 11-0 in the last 11 games that he has played in, with him averaging a triple-double in the last 3 games that he's played. I think another huge part as to why I think the Timberwolves are so interesting to look at this season is not only because they did have the rough start to the year, so not many people are focusing on them, but also Anthony Edwards just continues to grow. This is a very small note that I took, but he's learning how to play against a double team, which, as silly as that sounds, if Anthony Edwards really starts to learn against that, that's something where in the playoffs, it can be huge. It can really change things for them. And speaking about the playoffs, if they match up against the Denver Nuggets, I genuinely believe the Timberwolves are one of very few teams in not only the Western Conference, but the NBA as a whole that can actually defeat the Denver Nuggets even without Karl Anthony Towns. Like, they, for some reason, are the Denver Nuggets kryptonite. And they do it in a really fun way where they don't necessarily stop Nikola Jokic because that's almost impossible to do, but they do everything they can to make his best read also the best read for the Timberwolves as a team. Like, if the Timberwolves are able to make it so Jokic's best option and best read is kicking it out to a 30% three-point shooter, that's also the best read for the Timberwolves. And believe it or not, Julius Randle is a huge key in all of that. So lock it in. The Timberwolves and Warriors are my two, like, realistic dark horses in the Western Conference. I know, once again, you might still be thinking, bro, they are literal contenders. They're not dark horses. All I'm saying is I've seen more people talk about the OKC Thunder, the Houston Rockets, the LA Lakers, the Denver Nuggets than I have these teams we talked about, so that's why they're dark horses to me. And the conversation gets a little bit weirder when we go out into the Eastern Conference and talk about these teams, just because the landscape is just very different over there. The Eastern Conference isn't as deep. You go look around, like, I'm not going to say the Atlanta Hawks are sneaky championship contenders because that would just be me lying to your face. So you best believe I'm starting the Eastern Conference with the Detroit Pistons as my dark horse. Listen, I know this is a popular pick. You don't have to boo me for it. But as we all know, the Detroit Pistons have just been insanely shocking this year, going from one of the worst teams in NBA history, longest losing streak, to now being, I think, tied for the 4th seed or 1 game away from securing the 4th seed. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it all boils down to just a couple of things. Why the fuck was Monty Williams ever the head coach for any team after the Phoenix Suns? I don't know. It's beyond me. But the fact that he's gone now and JB Bickerstaff is there, not Chauncey Billups, Shaquille O'Neal, JB Bickerstaff, it has helped things a ton. And then obviously you have the team just getting better players. It sounds so obvious because it's like, well, why don't you just get better players, bro? They went out and got 3-and-D guys or just 3-point players like Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, Tim Hardaway Jr. Players that are actually good around their star player, Cade Cunningham, like genuinely built to be around him. But that's also the other point where it's just like Cade Cunningham has gotten a lot better. And I don't even know how much of that is because he as a player is getting better compared to him just having a better team around him, allowing him to actually play at his best potential. That's one of the more interesting things where a lot of people are like, man, Cade Cunningham was just exploding this season. No, he's always been this good. If you've watched him, he has always been a great player. He just didn't have the talent around him. I mean, goddamn, a majority of last year's Detroit Pistons roster is either in the G League, overseas, or retired. So yes, it might be a basic pick, okay, but the Detroit Pistons. And last but not least, the team that is coming off of probably the strongest high out of any other team in the league, the Indiana Pacers. Now, I don't really have much to to say when it comes to them as like a regular season team and how much different they are compared to last year. But I feel like they have the opportunity to be like the new Miami Heat, which is like, hey, they're going to have a very mid regular season. Like they're going to be the 6th seed or whatever it is. But if you give them a little bit of wiggle room in those playoffs, they will make you pay. Tyrese Halliburton is back as well, so it's going to be fun to see, you know, how they can end the season with him. I don't really know what else to say about them. There's not really any other dark horses in the Eastern Conference, okay? Like the Eastern Conference is just weird. I'm looking at it right now. I don't think the Orlando Magic are one of those teams. The Hawks aren't real contenders. Anyone else below them are just looking for Cooper Flag. It's like, I'm not going to say the Milwaukee Bucks are dark horses. So yeah, the Indiana Pacers can make things happen. They are just one of those teams. They have the history of it. Maybe they might need some injuries to have it happen. But hey, you know what? They're a dark horse, okay? Lock it in. That being said, those are my selections. Maybe next year the Sacramento Kings will be on this list. But for now, this is what I have. If you agree or disagree with me, let me know down in the comments below. I read and respond to everyone, and most of the time, your guys' takes are ass unless they agree with me. So it's pretty funny to go down there and read them. And if you're already down there typing up a storm, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, that would help out a ton. But with that being said, I will see you guys all in the next one. Later.